Hi, this is Yaffi Lvova, registered dietitian nutritionist with Baby Bloom Nutrition, and welcome to Nap Time Nutrition. My own little guy is napping, and well, he's moving around a little, so we'll see how far I get. So today I want to talk about baby nutrition needs, baby water needs. It's come up a lot recently. I'm not sure why all of a sudden it's a hot topic about how to give your baby water. So let's talk about it. So first, if you have any questions about milk needs, either breast milk, formula, or transition to milk, I did a nap time nutrition on milk addiction and milk needs, so you can reference that one. So here's the thing, before 6 months, your baby only needs breast milk, only, or formula if you've gone that direction. So that's it. Breast milk is 88% water. Okay, so that meets the nutrition needs. And you know that if you're using formula, if you're using a powder, you're mixing it with water. It does have plenty of hydration and it does meet your child's hydration needs before 6 months. Even colostrum, even the first few days before your milk actually comes in, per se, your baby's hydration needs will be met with that colostrum. So it's really not a concern until they hit that 6-month point for them to have any extraneous fluids to meet their hydration needs. I am going to give a caveat that this, as well as all of my nap time nutrition segments, are for healthy babies with no other issues. I'm not giving personalized nutrition advice in this format. And also, this doesn't account for other cultural norms. While biology does stay the same across cultures, for instance, in certain areas in Russian culture, they do advocate giving a couple of drops, literally a couple of drops of water after a bath. And that's really not a concern. We're talking about giving a bottle of water or giving a cup of water before the 6-month point. If the baby is fed on demand, additional fluids are not needed. So there are some who advocate that you should feed on a schedule. I'm a big supporter of feeding on demand, and that's going to meet your child's changing nutrition needs, and your baby's nutrition needs do change day to day depending on what kind of milestones they're overcoming, but also hydration. So during the summer, they might feed a little bit more often because they have more hydration needs, and that breastfeeding is going to meet those hydration needs. So that's just one more reason to feed on demand. So the risk, as far as giving a bottle of water, a cup of water before that 6-month point, is water intoxication, which is really more of a concern before the 6 to 9 month point. So your baby is constantly developing, and something that I want to focus on with this particular nap time nutrition is your baby's kidneys are developing. They're immature when they're born, and as they get older, they're able to process more effectively, which is why we limit sodium, for example, before the year mark, because the kidneys can't adequately filter that sodium. So the same is with water. If we give too much fluid, as far as water, the kidneys can't adequately filter that. They filter out the excess water. They also filter out sodium that needs to be there for that electrolyte balance. So water intoxication is overhydration, which alters electrolytes, and it alters the electrolyte balance, specifically the sodium, as I mentioned, and that can disturb brain function, and that can be fatal. So you hear that sometimes when you have parents who are trying to stretch their budget and water down the formula a little bit with extra water. And the formula is really developed by professionals, and it's developed that way for a certain reason, and by adding excess fluid to that, you really do disturb the electrolyte balance in the body, which can be very serious. It can be fatal. It's easy for babies to take too much water in because they're so small. So it's how much water they take in relative to their body mass. And since their body mass is so small, they can take in too much water and really cause a problem. Excess water has been associated with high bilirubin, which is jaundice. You really can't flush jaundice with water. You really do need formula or breast milk in order to flush jaundice. A big problem is that with too much fluid intake, you can fill up the baby's belly, and that doesn't make them interested in breastfeeding. They feel full, but that fullness doesn't have any calories. It doesn't have any nutrition. And so what happens is they start to lose weight. They start falling off the growth chart. So any interest in fluids coming in the mouth needs to be ideally breast milk, otherwise formula. From the 6 to the 12-month point, your major hydration is still going to be either breast milk or formula, but you can start offering a cup. And the reason you want to offer a cup is partially to teach how to use the cup and to introduce water as a texture, water as a flavor, so that you can really set your child up for water love. Some of us really as adults don't like water, and so if you introduce it the right way to a child, they can really develop a love for water just like they would develop a love for other textures or flavors. You do want to offer it in a sippy cup or a straw cup. At the point where you're offering it at 6 months, you don't need to offer it in a bottle. You can really start with that sippy cup or the straw cup ideally. And you're going to offer 2 to 4 ounces per day. You're not going to go too much past that because their hydration is still going to be met through the foods you're giving and also through breast milk or formula. The doctor may suggest more for hot weather or for constipation issues. But as I had said, this naptime nutrition, we're focusing on normal, healthy individual babies, and we're not talking about constipation in this particular naptime nutrition, although I do believe I've covered constipation before. When they get past that 12-month mark, their kidneys have adjusted somewhat, and they can take more fluids and process them adequately. So you're going to still offer milk around meals and with meals, but water is going to be in between the meals for other hydration needs to meet their thirst. When they're thirsty, you give some water, but you're still breastfeeding on demand past 12 months if you want to. That's extended breastfeeding, and I'm a big supporter of that as well. But you're going to give water otherwise in between meals. You want to look for pale yellow urine. That's the same as for adults. This is how we really monitor hydration status, is by urine color, and we're really looking for that pale yellow. So if you really want a hard number, it's age in months equals ounces of water. So if you have a 6-month-old, you're really going to 2 to 4 ounces still, but as you get closer to that 12-month mark, you can go for 12 ounces of water, and that's spread throughout the day. It's not going to be all at once, because all at once is still going to cause some issues, but if you give it in a couple of ounces every so often throughout the day, and the reason why I'm really hesitant to give that number is because there are so many factors that influence our hydration needs as adults, as babies. Once you are at that 12-month mark, they're small adults, basically. They're little people. And you're giving them normal food. You're giving them normal fluids at that point. So I hesitate to give an actual number just because it depends how active the child is that day. It depends how thirsty they are. It depends on developmental milestones. It depends on the weather. It depends on a lot of different factors. So if I give you a number and say 12 months, 12 ounces, there's a chance you're going to actually go to a measuring cup and measure out those 12 ounces and say, you need to drink this today. And I've discussed pressure a lot throughout my naptime nutrition segments. We really don't want to put that kind of pressure on kids. We want them to eat when they're hungry, stop when they're full, drink when they're thirsty. We really want them to pay attention to their signals. And if we focus so much on these numbers, it really derails giving them the control over responding to their internal signals. And that's really what we want in order to create a healthy relationship with food, which is something that's going to last them throughout their lives. It's a way that they are not going to be preoccupied with food. They're not going to be watching the scale, both the kitchen scale and the bathroom scale. It's really ideal to just kind of roll with the punches once you get to that 12-month mark and give them fluids as they're thirsty, and you don't want to really exceed that 12 ounces per day. So why should you give water? Well, as I mentioned, you want to teach how to use the cup. You want to teach how to love water, what it feels like, what it tastes like, and also to prevent constipation. It's very important in order to prevent constipation to have adequate fluids. So that's the story with water. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to comment below. I love reading comments. And come to Toddler Test Kitchen. We have a really fun one coming up. And I'm also planning a meal planning boot camp, and that's a class that you can participate in. So if you are interested in that, please PM me and join my newsletter, and you'll get more news on that. If my naptime nutritions have been helpful for you, review me. And Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you next week. I do not have a topic picked out, so please let me know any comments or suggestions in the comment section below, and I'll be watching. Thanks, and see you next week at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Right now, that is noon Pacific and 3 p.m. New York. We don't change our clocks here in Arizona, and I like it that way. So happy Thanksgiving. See you next week.